Hey everybody! Alright, so here's the deal. I'm gonna make this quick. The video you're about to see is from 2 years ago, back in 2018, and it was originally posted to my Patreon account. So only patrons until now have been able to watch it. So recently I've decided that I really wanted to release some of these older videos to the general public to get people's opinions on them, see how they like them, and to just kind of get more eyes on them. This was my very first Patreon video, and I go into detail all about what you're about to see. A little bit rougher than what I do now. I won't say that what I do now is seamless or you know, the best, you know. First of all, I'll just say I apologize for the eyebrows in the older video. I don't know what I was thinking. They're real harsh. And obviously it's from 2 years ago, like I said. You can see that there's a certain hope in my eyes, pre-pandemic. I'm also a lot less pregnant. Very much pregnant right now. I'm in my 3rd trimester. So I hope that you enjoy this, you know, if you do, please let me know. Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button and the notifications button for more videos that I'll be posting. I'll be releasing more that I've done in the years past to the public. If you want to see more recent things, please hit up my Patreon page. I'll put the link in the comments below, or not in the comments. I'll put the link below and on the screen. So if you want to see more recent work on Patreon, please hit that up. You also get access to a lot of other things on there than just videos. I hope that you enjoy this. I've also been thinking about posting slightly different type of content here on my YouTube channel for the general public. It would still be art-based. Maybe things like purchasing new ink pens and markers and paints and giving those a go and kind of reviewing those. Let me know if it's something you would be interested in. If not, just, you know, don't say anything. So, again, I hope you enjoy this video and I will see you on the next one. I look like I'm about to be off to boarding school. My professional look. All right, hi everybody. Welcome to my first process video / tutorial. I guess, what's the difference? I guess maybe in a tutorial. Everything's shaking. Okay. Hands off the table. I'm not gonna shake it. Okay. Welcome again. To my first process video. I guess if it's a tutorial, I'm telling you every little step. I won't be telling you every little step in this one. I will be showing you all the tools and steps that I will be going through in order to make another one of these. These are some of these skull portraits that I did for Inktober this past year. I unfortunately did not get through the whole month because life happens, but I had more characters I wanted to do and I wanted to complete them, so I am going to. And so I will be showing you how I create these little guys, the undead portraits. Today I'm going to be creating an astronaut, and she will have an equally weird name as all the others. And now I've got charred pieces on my fingers. I'm gonna go clean this so I don't get it all over everything. Okay, clean hands. All right, of course, before I start, I wanted to point out that I am wearing one of my buddy's shirts, Justin Castaneda. He is another artist and he has a Threadless page that you should go check out. All of his shirts feature his character Thump, little heart guy here. And so if you check it out, Art to Heart Mark.threadless.com. Go check those out. He's got a lot of really cute designs, so I'm repping that today. I'm awful at transitions. I'll get better at this. Okay, first, before I start, I wanted to show you all the tools that I'm using. Okay. All right, so of course we're gonna start with a piece of paper. I've cut them down to 5 by 7 so that they're nice and small to work with. Got charred bits on that one, so the woes of working with fire. I also, of course, am using pencil. I'm gonna be using some red lead in here. I like the way it looks. I don't erase it when I go to ink it, and I like the kind of the tone it gives, because it goes with what the type of ink I'm using on it. As far as the ink goes, I am using for the ink wash the Higgins. Well, it could be like a like a makeup tutorial when they're like, Higgins, use that. Why do they put their hand behind it? I don't understand. I guess maybe you're saying it better. Higgins, India ink for the ink wash. Okay, using that, and then just for the general outlines on things, I usually mostly use Copic multi-liners, and I'm all about the smaller the better, because I like getting those really fine lines. And this one's 0.05. I really like that size, and I also use the 0.06 for the super fine lines. So I'll be using those. Sorry for the sniffles. It's cold season, and I don't have the cold, but I always have congestion. It's awesome. And then finally, for the part, I'm gonna try to pick this up without getting black char stuff on my hands. For the red ink parts, for all the people portraits that I'm doing, I'm using red ink. All their kind of counterparts, I've been doing like familiars, little animals with them. I've been using different colored inks. I'm trying desperately not to look at myself in the camera. I have a sticker over here that tells me to look at the llama sticker, Tressa. Look at the llama sticker. Okay. Anyway, for those colored bits, I am using the Pilot Parallel pen. This one is 1.5. And if you open it up here, you can see it's really fine. It's hard to see in the art. Oh, yeah. It's really kind of a finer tip. I have all different sizes that I use for these, but I do like it because you can really be broad with it, or you can be very fine with your lines on it. So I am using that for the swirly bits on the piece. Okay, so okay, we'll start this off. I'm gonna move the camera around. Oh, duh. You need paintbrushes. You need paintbrushes. I am using all different sizes. And I don't spend a whole lot of money on paintbrushes. I get the real El Cheapo ones at like the local art store, just because, I don't know, that's where I draw the line on spending a ton on, because I'm awful at cleaning them, and so I go through them a lot when I do use them, but these are just the Artist Loft brand, so you can, it's up to you. You could totally work with what you need, but I've got all different sizes that we're going to be using for this. All right. I also forgot to mention that, of course, on this we are using fire, and I'll show you a little bit more about how I do that, how I burn the edges in the safest manner possible. But I use one of these big lighters. Yeah. So on my paper here, I went ahead and did a middle line. I do this on all my work because it just really helps me to make sure that I'm staying center. I do have a tendency, I guess, because I'm right-handed, go more towards the right than the left. And then I left some room down here. I indicated room down here for the name that I'm going to be placing on it. Okay, so I have in front of me, if you see me kind of reaching forward, I have my laptop in front of me with references for skulls and, of course, astronaut gear. It's always important. Don't let anybody tell you that references shouldn't be used. That's silly. References are an artist's best friend, really. So I use them for anything and everything if I can. So, okay. I'm gonna speed up some of this for you so that we can get through a good majority of it, and I'll of course stop along the way to let you know what exactly I am doing in some of the spots. All right. So I have the basic skull and suit down here. I went with kind of the classic looking suit and figure out what to draw on her little patch here, but it's kind of got that sort of, I don't know, what do you call that? Like scalloped sort of sleeves. And then for these I always do kind of like, there's like that floating head look. Now I'm going to next do the helmet on her. So that's going to be kind of the difficult part. And I'm going to use a circle template for that because, again, use your tools, and a great tool is circle template. If I could find it in my drawers here. Okay, so here's really big circle template. You can see where my cat gnawed on it. That was really awesome of him. So anyway, so I'm going to use this circle template to kind of do a base for the helmet, because I myself am awful at drawing perfect circles, as most people really are. So I think we don't want to go too big. I don't want to go too small, but I think this is a pretty good size looking at these helmets here that they're on people. So I think this is a pretty decent size. And as you can see, as I go, I'm just kind of erasing that center line because I don't really need it much anymore. So, and this is by no means gonna be super technical looking helmet because I don't got time for that. No. Also, I just want to make it, since the drawing itself, they're, you know, when I add all the colorful inks and stuff, it's gonna really make it pop more. And so I don't want to get too overly complicated with what's surrounding it. So, all right, I'll shut up again for a minute and then go through and draw this helmet on her. obviously I kind of manipulated the shape a little bit, looking at the helmet through my references, it's not a perfect circle. So I essentially I used that circle template, as a base, and then kind of built off of that. And I've added, added some little like rivet parts and stuff that doesn't really make any sense but looks cool. Um, and so we've got her inside here, inside the helmet, and I really, with these, I've taken the basics of the skulls, and I've manipulated or stretched the features a little bit. Like, obviously cheekbones do not jut out all crazy like this, but I like the way, the look it kind of gave it, and so I went with that kind of vibe with these skulls, these portraits. And so I'm just kind of going through and refining some of my pencils here. My initial pencils, I always kind of do a very light, not very heavy-handed with the initial penciling of a piece, just because if I want to change something, it's easier for me to do so or erase it before I make some changes to the paper. I don't want to bear down on it too much, because it then can leave a mark. And I don't know if you can hear that. My cat is trying to get inside. He's like, "Why is this door closed? I don't understand." I can hear you in there. That's what he's saying. Okay, hold on. What is it, buddy? Come here. Okay, I know. I'm doing stuff. Okay, so this, I'm pretty much finished with the skull and the basics of what it's going to look like. I am going to do a rough pencil outline of where I want those swirly parts to be. I kind of make up some of it as I go when I do start on it, but I prefer to kind of map it out a bit. So some of these I like to think about maybe how they passed away. These characters, sort of give them a little bit of a backstory or a hint of a backstory as to how they might have passed. If you're a Doctor Who fan, this kind of reminds me of that one episode. I can't remember what it's called. Hey, who turned out the lights? Anyway, so I guess slightly inspired. Anyway, so my first thought was to actually put a crack in her helmet. She had a really unfortunate incident out in space, and it cost her life. So I'm gonna put a little crack in here, and so that kind of gives you the story of how she perished. And from the crack is where I'm gonna do some of these crazy swirly actions. I try not to get too close to the outer edges with this. You'll really see why once I start doing those inks. Because, yeah, I'm going to be burning those edges, but I'm using water before I go to burn them, and sometimes if that water hits the ink from the parallel pen, it bleeds, which can also be a cool effect, but I prefer it not to. So she's got some flowy parts coming out of here, and I'm trying to decide whether or not I want it to continue in to the helmet. So while I'm trying to figure that out, we're gonna actually go down here, create some, maybe going into her suit, the neck of the suit. I will have it kind of going into the helmet here, coming out of it. I'll make sure that that crack is really defined once I do those. So it's going to kind of come flowing through here, sort of maybe pressing up against the helmet here up top. And then maybe kind of coming out. Really love doing it coming out of their mouth a little bit over here. I just think that makes it look really creepy. So kind of outline that a little bit. And I've got this really super tiny eraser from Tombow. A lot of the things that I'm using or that I use, I get from jetpens.com. And that's not really a paid endorsement. I just really love using that site, and they've got a lot of really great items to play with. So we'll have that kind of coming out of there and sort of seeping around the edge of her helmet. All right, I think we're pretty much done with the pencils. So next I'm gonna move on to the inks. So I went ahead and wrote her name in here. Her name is Cassiopeia Warwick, and Cassiopeia is a constellation for those space nerds out there. Okay, so I'm not going to, like I said, erase really. Now, for the inks, like I said, I'm using Higgins Black India ink, and I've got a little scrap piece of paper over here. It's always helpful to use scrap pieces of paper for anything you're working on, really. And I'm going to start off with this big brush because I'm going to do an ink wash around all the different sides to kind of start giving it that aged look. And let me go ahead and actually I'm going to erase some of my guidelines here just so that they don't show through. All right, so I'm going to do a little drop. This is, I guess, my palette, or more just to kind of mess with the ink before. And I've also got just like a paper towel here to dab what I don't want. So I'm gonna use a whole lot of water to really water it down, to kind of just give it that sort of muddy water look almost. And actually, to kind of protect my table here so it doesn't get too funky while I'm doing this, I'm just gonna go around and just do that ink wash around the sides. I'm gonna get a little messy with it. Feel a bit like Bob Ross. Happy little ink wash. Just don't think about it. Just let it speak to you. Okay, so as you can see, that kind of curls the paper, which I'm fine with. The paper I'm using, the paper I'm using, I forgot to say, was, it is Bristol Board Smooth paper. It's kind of a heavy paper, but you know, when you're putting this much water on it, really, it does curl it. But in the end, really, we do kind of want that sort of curled paper look, something that has been aged and over time has warped. So we'll give that a minute to dry before I start going in and adding some of the kind of more ink details in the skull. It's pretty much dry. And what we're going to do next is go through and kind of do an ink wash on all the parts. And I'm going to use what was still left over here to do that. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry a bit again, and then I'm gonna go back in and do some more fine line inking for the next step. So for the next step, I'm going to be using the Copic multi-liners for some of the finer lines, and then also I've got this Sailor brush pen that I'm going to use for some of those deeper, darker areas. All right. Okay, that's pretty much the majority of the inks. I might go back in and refine some of them after I'm completely done. So the next step now is going to be the swirly bits. I don't have a better word for it, honestly. I don't know what else you would call it. Maybe, I guess, some like space or ghost funk coming out. That doesn't sound right either. Anyway, so as I was saying, I'm going to go in with the Pilot Parallel pen. I put, with these pens, you can put in different types of inks. And I've put the red ink. And you can just lock and load those into there. Of course, you do have to, if you change the color of the ink, you have to wash them out. Which, to be honest, is not the easiest thing in the world. So I usually try to have several different sizes and different inks, and I try to keep with the same color ink for each pen. So, all right, since this ink does not dry very quickly, I'm gonna definitely try to work from left to right because I am right-handed. I don't want to smear any of it. As you could see, when I'm going through it, I really move the paper around a lot, and that's just to kind of help me along, really, because especially with curved, it's easier for me to go around like this than try to fight it back this way if I'm doing this. So I'm going to be very careful so that I don't smear the ink like I have many times. So here we go. All right. Okay, here is the completed red ink portion. So up next, really, it's just allowing this to dry, because like I said, it does take a good few minutes minutes for it to dry, and I'm gonna go ahead and write out her name, and then we will move on to the fire bit. Yes. Okay, so finally, with this piece, as I was letting this dry, I added some flicks of black ink through there to kind of just give it some more dimension and feel. So for the burning of the edges portion, now, again, please, 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 don't try this at home. Or if you do, please look up a proper tutorial on it. I did look up how to do this online. And I am very careful, all joking aside, I'm very careful with how I do it. So I always make sure to have a paper towel down on my table first, because you will get some residue burning off from the page, and a little piece of towel to kind of dab at things to put out the fire, as it were. So in order to begin, I usually start at a corner, and you'll want to wet a thick paintbrush with water, not dripping wet, but get it wet. And we're going to be getting the edges wet on the front side and the back side. And this is going to help kind of, in a way, limit where the edges are going to burn. So, and you will see some of my inks kind of, get wet and smear here, which I'm totally okay with, because again, it kind of adds to that sort of creepy feel, worn feel, And so I'm going to be basically holding the flame to the front side of the paper, but I'm holding it underneath. And you'll just kind of, not too close, but sort of go around the edges. And you can kind of see through it to guide where it's going, and, you know, catches on fire there. And blow it out, and kind of, you could see the burn start to eat away through the paper. And I like what that ink is doing when it's burning, is that it creates that sort of crackled look. Now I don't want this to burn too far in, so I will stop it at a point, and I'll just use the paper towel on it to put that out. Now, the water does kind of puddle up in areas, and I will kind of dab at it to get that to go away, but that essentially is what I'm going to do all around. And sometimes I will let it burn through and basically burn itself out, because it does kind of give that like little indented look there, which I like. If I can tell that it's not going to burn too far into the piece, I will let it do that. I'll just watch it, and you can kind of fan it along so that it gets there a little faster, and then I'll just dab away that ash that it's creating. And I'm not going to do it all the way. I like to leave some gaps, but I definitely focus on the corners for sure. All right. So you can see the mess that made. It kind of gets a little funky on the back. Kind of wipe down the surface here. Of course, since I was using water all around the edges, that really kind of affects the paper that much more, kind of curls it. And so this is the part where I drop things. No, this is the part where I go back and kind of look to see if there was anything, you know, that I missed inking wise. But for the most part, I try not to mess with it too much more. And there she is. I'll probably add just a few more little dashes here and there before I post it. That is the complete piece. Thanks for watching, guys.